You're still watching Newsfeed, the PM edition. Thank you for staying with us. The South African Health Products Regulatory Authority warns against a fake prescription drug used for the treatment of type 2 diabetes. The regulator says there's an increased demand for Ozempic, which is used by some people for weight loss. The Health Products Regulatory Authority's compliance manager, Mokgadi Fafudi, joins us now for more on this. I appreciate your time this evening. Would you give us some insight or overview of the current situation with Ozempic and the national shortage in South Africa?
Good evening, Hugo. Yeah, currently there is a stock outages of these substances, and it is as a result of the high demand for the product. But SAHPRA is working with a manufacturer, which is Novo Nordisk South Africa, and we know that there is currently no generics that are available, and there are no other authorized semaglutide containing products, except those that are made available through compounding. So there is a serious shortage, and SAHPRA is really urging the public not to be fooled or not to prompt themselves into going into the other versions that claim to be Ozempic, which are not.
So Ozempic is clearly a wonder drug, is it not? Based on this demand and its lack of availability, not just in South Africa, but in many parts of the world.
It's not a wonder drug. At the moment, Ozempic is registered, as you mentioned, for the treatment of type 2 diabetic in adults. And therefore, it cannot be a magic drug. It is not registered for any other use, unless you are mentioning the off-label use. And the danger with the off-label use is that these products have not been evaluated by SAHPRA for safety and efficacy. And therefore, people who are taking them, they are taking them at their own risk. So we cannot call it a magic drug if the regulator has not evaluated it. And this is worldwide. Even if you check with other regulators, it's a similar challenge. And unfortunately, there are adverse effects that would happen, and they would go unnoticed because people may be scared to report those. So therefore, the public must only go to their healthcare professionals who would evaluate their health needs and will be treating them in accordance with that. It cannot be called a magic medicine or what you have just referred to as.
So why is there so much demand for Ozempic?
You probably have seen that the influencers such as your celebrities might be online advertising the off-label use of this medicine, and how they are prompted to do that, we cannot say. However, as the regulator, all the medicines that are in South Africa for any purpose have to come through the regulator for authorization and registration in order for them to be declared safe, efficacious, and also of quality. Because not only do we evaluate the formulation, we also evaluate the manufacturing conditions under which these medicines would be consistently be manufactured. We need to ensure that every batch would be consistent and it would still provide the safe, efficacious, and quality product. Therefore, these other products that are being advertised through other platforms claiming to be Ozempic or similar to Ozempic, those have not yet been evaluated by SAHPRA, and therefore we urge the public to be very wary. They must go under the guidance of their practitioner, because you must remember that people have also different health conditions. And if you are taking different products, you're taking, for example, chronic medicines, that may be interfering with these products, which you don't know in fact what it contains. It claims to be containing semaglutide, which is the active ingredient of Ozempic. It might not be containing that. Therefore, you will be taking it at your own risk if you are not under a treatment of a physician, and also you are not getting it from the authorized or legitimate pharmacies, because your legitimate pharmacists or reputable pharmacists know how compliance is important, because they are regulated in terms of the medicines and also the Pharmacy Act. So it is important that the public steer away from the these popular known medicines claiming to be Ozempic. There is only one registered Ozempic by Novo Nordisk, and that you should be able to get it through your physician for the purpose of treating diabetes. Any other treatment, you will be taking it at your own risk. However, if your physician deem it fit for you, you therefore need to make sure that you are under supervision of that physician and your pharmaceutical healthcare professionals.
Mokgadi, I'm going to go back to this question because I'm not quite sure I got the response to it. And my question is around Ozempic as the actual proper product, not the fake product. And my question is just what effects has it had? Why is it such a grand product? Why is it so much in demand?
I think that question would be better answered by Novo Nordisk. However, if you look at the mechanism of action of Ozempic, which contains semaglutide, it works on the production of insulin. So it increases the level of insulin, and as a result, it can have an effect of suppressing appetite and also stimulating the brain to let the brain know that to make you feel like you are full. So therefore, it sort of suppresses appetite and also increases the insulin levels. When you've got high insulin levels in the body, it reduces your glucose intake. Therefore, there is that side effect of it can cause weight loss. However, in terms of why there is demand, indeed, the Novo Nordisk and the medical practitioners who are prescribing it can provide a better answer on that. But from the regulator side, also monitoring the social media, we have also noted that there is a high adverts that are mentioning this to be a drug for weight loss. And hence, my interview here, I'm here to warn people against listening to such media adverts unless their doctors are willing to put them on a treatment regimen that they will monitor them.
Well, one of the things that you might be contending with is the issue of counterfeit drugs, particularly in the instance of Ozempic, which we are speaking of. How do these counterfeit drugs make their way into the country? Is it through porous borders, or some of these drugs actually fake drugs, rather, counterfeit drugs manufactured locally?
Fortunately, in terms of our staffing, we've got officials also stationed at the ports of entry, and some are detected through where the active pharmaceutical ingredients, semaglutide, salts are being imported into the country from various countries, and this would be detained at the ports. The other means is the online marketing. We know how digital marketing now is, and then people have got access to that. And in terms of locally, fortunately, when we stop the importation of these raw materials, we are able, therefore, to cap some of the manufacturing to prevent that. However, we also do get some alerts from the healthcare professionals and the public, because there are certain pharmacies who are actually compounding illegally the non-approved active pharmaceutical ingredients, because it becomes falsified when you are not using the registered active pharmaceutical ingredient. And also when the name is used, it becomes a falsified or a counterfeit when you are making it to seem like it is Ozempic when it actually is not. So a compounded product is for a specific patient. It's not in bulk. It must be made because the healthcare professional has prescribed it for a specific patient for a particular time, and the pharmacy can only compound it there for that particular purpose.
So let's talk about some of the factors that might have contributed to the global shortage, because I think it's one of those things that's in your interest to establish, because without the shortages, I'd imagine that the amount of fake or counterfeit Ozempic on the market would be negligible, if any at all.
Yeah, that is correct. Because of the off-label use, that's where we encounter such high demand. and the people who need the treatment for type 2 diabetes, they are not able to get that treatment, which is very, very unfair. And people must also ask themselves, why is Novo Nordisk not registering it for obesity or for weight loss that they say they are using it for? And the regulator is constantly communicating with Novo Nordisk, whereby some of the reports actually we get them from Novo Nordisk in the best interest of the patient, to save the patients, where people are really falsifying their product. So, and what I just want to also mention, Hugo, is that the danger of people accessing this falsified product, or the counterfeit products, or the so-called Ozempic product, the problem is that this product may not actually be containing any active ingredient. They may actually be containing some contaminants. And remember, this is an injectable, so you might be injecting yourself with some contaminants, some pathogens which you don't know what they are, and some of the side effects or adverse events may actually appear way later in life, whereby you won't even be able to trace it back. And some of the adverse events can actually be so serious that people can be hospitalized, people can even die without knowing. So people must be very, very cautious and be monitored under their doctor. And it is very important that to note that this is for type 2 diabetes and not registered for any other use. Therefore, the regulator urges people to only use it if they've got type 2 diabetes and their doctor has prescribed it for that, because they will be also monitoring their progress.
So what are the sort of penalties that will be given to individuals or organizations that are caught selling or trading in counterfeit Ozempic or any other state-regulated products?
Yeah, as I indicated, that this is the only registered product and there are no generics. Should any other company be manufacturing this, it is illegal, or importing, or even small-scale manufacturing where other pharmacies are illegally conducting this service. The law, we've got Section 29 of the Medicines and Related Substances Act, which sees this as an offense, and then our penalties are, there is a range of penalties that we can impose on this, from imprisonment and also monetary fines. So, but it depends, because when we investigate this, it depends on what is the extent of the falsification, or what is the extent of the offense that has been committed. But we do impose penalties for those offenders.
Mokgadi, final thoughts on the implications of these shortages on diabetic patients that actually need Ozempic for their health, in fact, for their wellness?
Yeah, the public must always consult their reliable health professionals for the treatment of their diseases. And we are in constant contact with Novo Nordisk, and fortunately we have been informed that in January there will be supply of Ozempic for the purpose of treating diabetic patients. And we hope that the healthcare practitioners will be responsible enough as well to know that this stock should be limited for what it is intended and registered to do. Up until it is registered for any other use, the healthcare professionals are urged to please prescribe it and limit it for that need.
Mokgadi Fafudi, SAHPRA Regulatory Compliance Manager, appreciate your time this evening.